first came to Orly within a couple of years of my second divorce, and it was because I never really came up with any answers in trying to do self-analysis of why the marriage fell apart, and I'd never really gotten good answers to my first one either. And when I heard about her regression analysis, it just really interested me, the idea that the problems we face in this life could be carryovers from past lives. So I thought, yeah, that's interesting, and kind of being of a scientific bent or mind, it really fascinated me that there may be a connection to something in the past. It seemed to be Jerusalem would be what I identified. And I seemed to be living the life of a young Jew, and I had a love that I ended up leaving because I wanted to help what I thought was my community, and the role I was playing was actually for the Romans at the time, because it seemed to be at the time of Jesus, and I was kind of taking a role of, it really appeared to be a spy for the Romans. Even though I was a Jew, I didn't like what was going on in the community, and I think it might have been during the time of Jesus, and that I was concerned about the upheaval and the turmoil in the community, and I kind of thought, well, I wanted to see an end to that. I appeared at one point to be at the Sea of Galilee, just from what I've read about and the pictures I've seen about it. It was very barren, the size. So, in my mind, during the regression, it seemed like the Sea of Galilee. And during the regression, I seemed to be like in the crowds, in the bazaar, in the marketplace, whatever, and just kind of watching what was going on. And then I would have other visions of being back in a Roman courtyard and just talking to like government officials, I guess. So it seemed to me like, yeah, I was a Jew living in the time of Jesus and working for the Romans, really. And then what was really interesting, and all of that was kind of not real vivid. It was, it was something that I sensed, but it was not really like I was living it. It was like I was watching it. But then towards the end, Orly asked me to envision my death, and I remember just thinking, well, I'm looking up at the sky. And I thought, well, that's pretty unremarkable. If I'm dead, yeah, I'm probably lying on my back looking at the sky. But then it felt like my legs were raising, and that seemed real, very real, that my legs would be raising, and I couldn't figure out, well, if I'm dead, why are my legs raising? And then my legs keep getting higher and higher until I'm upside down, and it just kind of occurred to me that I was being hung upside down, and that might have been how I died, is, being hung inverted, and that's kind of where it stopped. I don't know, there wasn't like torture or anything, but and then, of course, knowing what I do now, that, people were tortured by being held upside down. And I think probably what had happened, the image that I had, was that I decided that I didn't want to, assist the Romans anymore. I didn't want to work for them. I felt like what they were doing was wrong. So I stopped working for them. And then for that, I felt like I was killed because I wouldn't continue to spy for them. Talking about it later, I could relate how what I was seeing in my life today might have had some, carryover from that life where I had given up love then, and in my current life, I had wives that gave up on me. So, but at least the lives I have now, I was married twice, and I did love two women, whereas back then I kind of gave up on love and decided other things were more important. So I guess in that respect I have progressed some.